How are you folks? I've just brought a van down to Searle and Sat where we're going to have a Victron 3000 battery system put into it. So we're going to have a bit of an explore about the components and what's going into it. Also, we're going to have a look at a van that they've just finished. It's got heaps of solar, satellite dish, you name it. This thing is the penthouse of 12 volt. In the meantime, we'll sneak over here to Ben, who's just working away. How are you, Ben?
Good, thanks, Ben. How are you, mate?
Good.
Been all right?
Mate, I thought I'd come down and have a look at the Victron system that we're going to fit to this, or you're going to fit to the Willow here. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, brilliant. Yep, so we've got the Victron 3000 system. Basically everything you can see on the bench here, from the batteries to the monitor, the inverter, the reg, all the rest of it, will all be going inside this Willow right here. Should make for a pretty tidy off-grid system, that's for sure.
Yeah, good. Now the customers with this van, they came to us and they said, look, we've got a specific need. We want all the power points to work. We want the air conditioning to work.
That's it.
So with advice from you guys, we've come up with the Victron 3000 system. Now as part of that, the lithium batteries, can you tell us a bit about those?
For sure. So in this particular caravan, we've got two 160 amp hour batteries going in for a combined total of 320 amp hour. And to power up all those power points you just mentioned, we've got the big 3 kVA multi-plus over here, which we're doing that and running that aircon, of course.
Now, we do get customers that ask us, you know, you've got a 100 amp hour battery that's standard in the van, and the torque is 100, 200, 300.
That's it.
Now, you just mentioned they're 160s.
Yes.
So why do you use 160s instead of 200s?
Yes, I suppose. Yeah, I guess people used to talk in round numbers and that sort of thing. These 160s, being that we can actually run up to 5 in parallel, it gives us quite a few options in terms of sizing. And in my opinion, when you're running inverters and stuff, 100 amp hour is getting a bit small. So 160 makes for a good entry point. If you want to go a bit more, you go another 160. If you want to go a bit more, you can go another 160. Gives you plenty of modularity and flexibility.
In all my time in the caravan industry, I don't know much about 12 volt, but I've got to say, mate, I've never seen these things dangling out of a battery. What the heck are they for?
That's it. So these here are the control leads. They actually plug into the external management system. So these aren't like your typical lithium battery where it's all built inside. They actually plug into a separate unit, and that's what allows it to maintain all 5 of those batteries individually, which is why they last so long.
Yeah, fantastic. And at the end of the day, our customers are going to be able to hit the remote on the air conditioning and run that while they are completely off-grid. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Yep. So this system here is designed on them hot days. You're out in the weather, sun's shining. You'll be able to turn that aircon for a good few hours and cool the van down quite comfortably.
Fantastic. Well, they're all the components. Let's go inside of the van. We're going to ask Ben a few more questions about the install and what this is really capable of. And we might even discuss a few other battery options and setups as well. Let's go inside and have a look. Come on, Ben.
Sounds like a plan, Ben.
Well, Ben, here we are. We're inside the blank canvas, as you would say.
That's it.
You guys are about to pull this stuff apart and fit in the Victron 3000. Mate, what I'd like to ask, and these are things that we get asked by our customers.
Of course.
So pretty much every caravan or motorhome built in the country comes with an AGM battery.
That's right.
Which is what this has got.
Of course.
It's got its own battery management system. Now the needs of our users is changing rapidly from this battery that will run all your 12 volt stuff, but obviously limited time, right through to those people that want to run their coffee machines and their air cons completely off grid, which is what this is having, and that's the Victron 3000.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Mate,
so
can you just tell us a bit about the different abilities of what this is and the Victron 2000 system that we've put together for the Willow owners, and also the Victron 3000 system? And then you guys also do a lot of custom work.
Most caravans, when they come from factory, they have an AGM, maybe 2, generally 100 or 120 amp hour, which, as you sort of said, you'll run all your 12 volt stuff, you'll run your lights, your TV for maybe a day or 2. But obviously if you want to go for those longer stays, as you said, if you want to use coffee machines, microwaves or air cons, you're definitely going to need to do an upgrade in terms of both battery and in solar. So obviously with this one here, it's got the management system in the battery. We'll be taking the battery straight out, of course, and we'll be upgrading it with the Victron management system, where it'll have an inverter, a charger, a lot more solar, and of course 320 amp hour of battery. With the 2000 system, lets you run pretty much all your power points, as we mentioned earlier. And of course the 3000 system lets you do that and run the aircon for a certain period of time. Big solar upgrade regardless. The 2000 will have 600 watts, the 3000 will have 800 watts. Basically lets the customer, provided they're watching their usage, to stay off-grid as long as they want, is the idea. So with either system, you'll be able to go off-grid as much as you want.
Yeah.
The big difference, I suppose, being with the 3000, you get that aircon usage.
How much room is it going to take up? Whether it be this van or a motorhome or any other breeder van. Yep. What are we looking at in terms of space and net weight difference between what you're taking out and what's going to end up in there?
Generally about a third of this bed area will be dedicated to the 3000 system. The 2000 system, you save a little bit of space, but it's pretty similar. So if you were to look at the sort of size here, you probably come from here across. So you've still got a good usable amount of space under your bed. And being that we're taking out a big heavy lead battery, the 2 lithium batteries, which is effectively like 5 times the storage, will actually take up the same amount of weight as the lead battery, plus the inverter and the 2 extra solar panels. So there's probably a net gain of about 45 kilos for the 3000 system over a typical AGM system.
Sure, and the 2000?
The 2000 system will probably be pretty close to even. I'd say you're gaining maybe 15, 20 kilos all up.
So 15 or 20 kilos extra with the 2000, about 45 with the 3000.
That's bang on, yep.
Yeah. Look, that's really not a great deal. I know some manufacturers, they run with a tandem axle caravan with payloads of 400 kilos. This particular brand that we're looking at and the work you're doing, they've got about 675 kilos. So I suppose this manufacturer, they're allowing for some extra weight because this van is built for people that want to go off-grid.
Yep.
So that's extra water tanks, extra solar and the like. Excellent. A question that I'd love to ask you, you guys work on a lot of RVs. When you're fitting a battery system, is there some brands that you have to go and change all the infrastructure as terms of wiring, the thickness of the cabling, or is it just we just drop our system in and happy days?
There certainly is a few that we have to make a lot of changes to, and you're often limited by the amount of space you have on the roof, for example, how much weight you can put in, and of course real estate you're allowed to use on the inside. I know a lot of people like to carry a lot of stuff, so if a van has more storage, it obviously allows us to do a bigger power system and things like that. Yeah. We're a big fan of the Willows, first of all, because of all the real estate they've got up on their roof.
Yeah.
We've done Willows with 1700, 1800 watts of solar before.
Mate, I saw that van, and there's a van that we're going to have a look at shortly that was been a custom build.
Yep.
And I don't think you can see much of the roof because it's, what did you say, 17?
Yes, I think there's just over 1700 watts.
1700 watts.
That's right, and that's with an automatic satellite system as well.
Man, that is unbelievable. So, you know, here we have a 100 amp hour battery, which will suit a lot of people.
For sure. If you only want to on-grid camp, you're going to caravan parks every day, or if you just stay off the grid for one night and you run everything on gas, yeah, you could definitely get away with a 100 amp hour AGM. It's not necessarily for everyone, but for those that want to head away from the standard group and they want to go off-grid and away from caravan parks, that's when you seriously need to start considering, you know, a lithium upgrade and a power system increase.
Sure. And the wiring that you do, it sounds like you run your own wiring for your own systems, so you eliminate any interference with the brand of caravan that you're working on.
Well, that's exactly right. Depending on the sizing you need, you'll be, especially when you're doing upgrades, of course, if you're going to be running more power, then obviously you generally need bigger wires. So generally we like to do everything from from the beginning, if we can, and that just ensures that we've sized everything appropriately for all the gear we're going to be installing.
Well, how about we go and have a look at the this system that you've finished?
Yep.
Because I have seen your work and it is absolutely magnificent.
Thank you very much.
And for anyone that's watching, just hang around because a little bit later on, I got a treat for you.
Plenty of room in this slide out, hey Ben?
Right. There is heaps of room with this slide out, but what we're here to have a look at, we just want to show everyone, this is the custom fit out that you guys are just putting the final touches on.
That's right, yep, just some finishing touches.
Right. There's a lot going on under here, Ben.
That's it.
Tell us a bit about it.
Well, first things first, you may have already noticed, the aircon's running, a bit more pleasant in here, that's for sure.
And we're not hooked to 240 volt.
That's it, we just sit
power.
now. For sure. So we actually got a 400 amp hour battery bank. There's some pretty big batteries, as you can see, but that's actually at 24 volt. So if you were to compare that to a 12 volt system, it's actually an 800 amp hour battery bank equivalent.
Hey, hang on. That's
a 400 amp hour 12 volt equivalent.
equivalent. So that's a 200 24 volt.
That's right.
So we're not talking 12 volt anymore. Now we're talking 24 volt.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Wow.
When you start moving as much current as we're doing with like this 5 kVA inverter over there, so that's 5,000 volt amp. 24 volt means we're using half the size cable, makes it a bit more manageable.
Yeah, sure.
That's right, and you save on some weight as well.
But tell us about this. This is a fairly big bit of gear.
It is.
Now, you're going to tell us shortly about how much solar's on the roof of this.
Certainly will.
But what are the stats with what the solar can put in, and also with the DC to DC charger, what the car will put in when you're towing this?
Yeah, so we've got obviously got the big battery bank. It's all well and good to have a big battery bank, but you need to be able to charge it. So we've got the 5 kVA inverter, which lets us use the power, but then we've got a 100 amp DC-DC charger, which punches in about 1200 watts while the vehicle's driving with the alternator upgrade. And then on the roof, we've got just over 1700 watts of solar, which amounts to about a real world 1500 watts per hour if you're in good sun.
This is sort of blowing my mind a bit here, Ben. I'm used to talking 12 volt and how many volts is charging it. Now we're talking 24 volt, and we're talking kilowatts.
That's it.
This is amazing. Now I know when we walked into this, this has got a coffee machine. You said the aircon's running.
Yep.
So if I wanted the aircon running, I wanted to warm up my dinner in the microwave and make a coffee.
That's right.
I can do that all
In this particular setup, you actually can run all 3 of those at once.
at the same time.
Yes, you certainly
Wow.
can. If you're making your breakfast in the morning, you don't need to then turn your aircon off and start up your induction cooktop. You just leave it all running and do it all at once.
Yeah. Now, there was a fit out you did a couple of weeks for us, and I said to you, there's a lot of lights blinking under here.
That's it. Lots of blue lights flashing, bits and
You
pieces.
told me that pretty much every component that you use with Victron can be operated or looked at and managed from your smart device.
That's exactly right. Almost every single unit in here can be connected to individually, and you can see how each piece of the puzzle performs.
Yeah. And this system has got another special little a panel that you can control from a touch screen.
You're right. So that there culminates basically all that information into layman's terms, because when you're talking 24 volt, 240 volt, you've got the solar, it puts it all in watts and percentages. Makes it very easy for your average person to understand and operate.
Great. Can you show us that?
Yeah, certainly can. Let's go have a look.
Beautiful. So Ben, this is the control panel for this, the custom setup you've done, which is the 24 volt.
That's right.
Now, you did say that this can be adapted to other versions, but
You're right.
just take us through this panel. But this looks like the tablet that I use at home.
Yeah, pretty colourful, isn't it? Basically, it's the culmination of all the information we were talking about before. So it tells us exactly what our battery's state of charge is. So you can see right now, this has been sitting in the shed a few days and we've had the aircon running. She's down to 24%. We can see what the DC loads are, so that's your fridge and your lights and that sort of stuff, versus what your 240 volt loads are. So when the aircon kicks in, for example, it'll tell us how many watts that uses, what your microwave uses, all that sort of stuff. Tells us what the solar's producing.
So we're in a shed and it's an overcast day, so that's 0.
Yep, that's
and
it.
this one here is the 240 volt, is that right?
240 volt input, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you're plugged in, it'll tell us that your 240 is giving us this much, your solar's giving us this much, you're using this much for your 240, and you're using this much for your 12 volt. Makes it very, very easy for your average person to understand because it all talks in watts. Because by the time you've got a 24 volt battery bank, 12 volt converters, 24 volt solar system, 1000 watts, you're talking all these different measurements. This brings it all down into just watts and percentages.
Yeah, beautiful.
Makes it nice and easy to follow.
Now, one of the other features that you were telling me about this is that a normal water tank has got a water tank sensor.
Yes.
This unit here, it actually weighs the water and then tells you a percentage based on weight.
That's right. Yes.
Just show us how that works.
Yeah, no worries at all. But the idea of that is using the PSI based on how high them water tanks are and whatnot and calibrating it to suit gives us a very, very accurate figure on how full the water tanks are. So we can see right now the grey water here is at exactly 6% full and the fresh water is exactly 51% full, and that's across all 3 tanks.
Yeah, but this has got some amazing technology in it, this van.
Certainly does.
And an absolute credit to you guys here at Solar and Sat. This is truly fantastic and futuristic, and I really look forward to seeing this more in vans, because I'm not a 12 volt person. I'm definitely not a 24 volt person. And I'm not really flash with converting amps and volts and watts and that. And this just makes life so much easier. And the other thing we can do is off our smartphone. We can control it all from there as well.
That's exactly right. Yep, you could actually turn, in this particular van, the customer can actually turn the aircon on completely remotely. You could be away four-wheel drive and you decide you'll be back home for lunch in an hour. You can turn the aircon on so the van's cool for when they get back.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Mate, I got some hard questions for you. So let's grab a seat.
Yep.
And I'll fire away.
I think that's a pretty good looking seat there.
Let's go. So Ben, here we are. We're in the lounge of the Willow Ironbark that you guys have just fitted that 24-volt custom system to.
Yep.
I do want to ask you some questions about the systems that we're offering. So what we're offering our customers is the Victron 2000 system.
Yep.
And the Victron 3000 system.
That's right.
So let's start with the Victron 2000 system. What are the advantages and benefits of that for our customers?
Yep, so the 2000 there, it's designed for your customers to basically be able to use any of their 240-volt appliances when they're off the grid, such as like your coffee machines, your microwaves, your kettles, your toasters, all that sort of stuff. And that's accomplished with the specs, of course, being a 160 amp hour lithium battery, 600 watts of solar, and a 2 kVA inverter. Basically lets them run everything bar the aircon, which is what the 3000 system's for.
Sure.
That one there lets them use everything we mentioned there, as well as the air conditioner.
Yeah.
To do that, it's got a 320 amp hour battery bank, lithium of course, 3 kVA inverter, and 800 watts of solar.
Okay.
Yep.
So the Victron 2000, all 240 power points excluding AC.
That's right.
And the Victron 3000 then brings in the ability to run your AC.
Of course, yes.
Fantastic. And then we go to the custom that you've got here. So you could use your coffee machine, your AC and your microwave all at once.
That's exactly right, with a larger battery bank and a larger solar system.
Yeah.
It's one of those things with power systems, it's about sizing it appropriately. When you go the 3000 system, you're not looking to run the aircon 24/7. To do that, you're going to need something bigger. The 3000 is more on those hot days before you go to bed, or just 12 o'clock, you want to have some lunch in a nice comfortable temperature. That's what the 3000 system lets you do.
Yeah. Mate, I've got to thank you for letting us into your factory. It's been amazing. The information that that you've given me and you've given the people that are watching is quite mind-boggling. Like, you know, I grew up in the caravan industry and I can remember towing vans down to Barwon Heads to go camping, and when we wanted to turn the light on in the van, we were using power off the car.
That's right, yep.
You know, and turning that light on. And then caravans had batteries put in them. And now we're talking about battery systems that can run absolutely everything. And we're talking 24-volt systems, and we're talking kilowatts.
That's it, yes. No longer talking 12 volt and small amp hour, 100 watt panels. We like to talk in kilowatts with our solar these days.
Mate, I'm really excited about how far you can push solar and sat in the RV industry.
I'm looking forward to working with you too, Ben.
Good on you, mate. Well, here we are. We're back at Solar and Sat. They've had the van now for about 5 days doing the fit out on the Victron 3000 system. Let's go and catch up with Ben and see what's going on inside. Come on. Hey Ben, how are you?
Good, thanks mate. How are you?
Very, very good, mate. I'm excited to have a look at this setup, but where is it?
We've got it all up here in this cupboard here, mate.
Oh wow, that's neat.
Every single bit the customer needs to look at is all here. It's been laser cut out in that acrylic plate. We've got the monitor, of course, and the inverter control. Lets you turn it on and off and control a few other bits and pieces.
Wow, and the brains to this whole setup?
So everything else is under the bed. The customer should never really need to take a look at it, but let's go have a look.
Let's have a look. Wow, have a go at this, Ben. So this is the brains of the whole system.
That's it. There's a fair bit going on under here.
Mate, tell us, what is going on under here?
So we've got the 320 amp hour lithium battery bank mounted over there.
Yep.
Got the 3 kVA inverter charger just here.
Wow, yep.
They're both protected by Perspex covers.
Yep.
Got the solar controller happening over here. That's
Yep.
what's handling the 800 watts of solar on the roof.
Yep.
And of course the battery management system, which is looking after that lithium battery bank.
Now, that is so neat. Can I just ask a question? Like, you know, you've got electrical things and you've got a compartment there.
Yep.
What about heat?
Yes, good question. So we've actually got active ventilation installed on this one. So once the load kicks up and the heat rises, the fan will actually kick in and push it out of these vents that we've mounted around the box.
You have not missed a trick on this, and the finish, I noticed the way you finished around the inside of this cut is absolute credit. The people that are picking this van up in a few days' time, they are going to be absolutely over the moon. Thank you very, very much for allowing us into your workshop and giving us a sneak peek at this. Can I just ask you a bit later on, maybe, can we do another video of a how-to? So
certainly can.
We can post something that how they actually use this.
That's right. Yep. For the most part, the customer should never ever have to go under here. It'll all be up in that control center.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll put a bit of a video up on how to use it all.
Now I've got a little treat for you. Come with me and let's have a look around their facility. Come and have a look around. The reason why we use solar and sat is their facility. It is absolutely immaculate. We've got everything. They've got hoists. They've got the latest CNC machinery. They've got robots that go around the floor at night time and dust, for crying out loud. The reason why I like using these guys so much is that they complement the Willow product. With the Willows, everything is CNC cut. These guys take pride in matching the quality with what they do. Like, have a look at the toolkit. God, I wish I could get my blokes to keep our toolkits that tidy.
Hey Ben.
Hey.
Come have a look over here, mate. I want to show you something on the roof of this Willow here.
Let's go.
Come on in.
Even their scissor lifts. Every operator's got their own name on it.
Come take a look at this, mate.
Have a go at that. Absolutely magnificent.
That's 1700 watts of solar on a 20-foot caravan, mate.
Magnificent.
That's exactly right. If you're sitting there in the sun with the aircon running, you're actually still making more than you're using.
Like what I'm looking at the attention to detail here, and this is what I love so much about you guys. You know, your factory here is just immaculate. The way you finished your work off is immaculate. I can see that you've got the solar panels screwed in so that you can easily remove them.
That's exactly right. We intentionally avoid spots you can't actually get something into. In the event you did have hail damage or something down the line, it's actually very, very easy to remove one of these panels if you have to.
Because we know what it's like. It's so difficult to get these things off. The manufacturers quite often build something with the quick and easiest way to install it, but they've got no foresight as to, you know, or how do we remove it if we need to. So, you know, everything you do, mate, it's an absolute credit to you, buddy. Really good. Well done.
Thank you very much.